Hello everybody, it's me Ghost Bunny, and today I'm going to be reading the final and last chapter of Volume 1 of Heaven Official's Blessing. Woo! It took me a full year. I'm so sorry. I actually recorded this before 2025 ended, actually, and guess what? My laptop kind of broke down, and, yeah. I was maybe a little bit too mad at the fact that I lost the recording and I didn't have the second volume with me yet, so I was not really prepared to, you know. Pero just so you guys know, I have Kim Porsche Volume 2 and Volume 2 of Heaven Which is Blessing. So really soon I'm gonna start reading my Kim Porsche shit again to the girlies. Pero yeah, I already have my Volume 2 of Heaven Which is Blessing ready to go right immediately after this one. I was thinking maybe attaching it to this one, pero let's just give the final chapter of Volume 1 its own video. Just, but yeah. Before anything, let me just give my disclaimers, and that is one, I have no affiliations with 7Cs or with MX. Yeah, with MXTX. Why did I forget? My queen MXTX. I have affiliations with her or with 7Cs. This is not an official audiobook. You can find them online, Billy, whatever. Sorry, I'm so mad about the whole Billy thing. Because, I was reading the manhwa. Pero, neither here nor there. Let's just dead horse. Pero, yeah, I'm in relations here. This is not an official audiobook. This is us girlies having a good old gay time, reading our gays, having a good laugh. Tercero que nada. Well, segundo que nada. Secondly, I am not a native Chinese speaker. We've already spoken about this. I am not a native Chinese speaker. There will be names I may mispronounce. I have watched the donghua, and I've heard bits and pieces of the audiobook. I'm trying my best to pronounce the names properly, pero I, as you can hear, am quite Hispanic, so my accent kind of comes through a lot, even when I try for it not to come. So it's not me trying to make fun of, make a mockery, or a fool of the Chinese language. It's absolutely beautiful. I just tell you do not, in fact, speak it. And tercero is that I do speak English, pero when it comes to reading, I don't know why. It just happens where I just stumble upon words, forget how to say the words. English is not my native tongue, so there will be mishaps. I try to kind of like, fake it off, laugh it off, and kind of like not give it too much attention. Pero if it bothers you, I'm so sorry. Pero with that being said, let us begin, because I bet you guys have been waiting for the final chapter of the Volume 1 of Heaven Official's Blessing. We are finally ending the first season of Heaven Official's Blessing. With the amount of time it's taken me to read this, I'm pretty sure it would have been faster for me just to animate it. I'm talking to you, Billy. Please finish animating. I want more. Pero let us begin. Chapter 11. Poking the Ghost King, the Crown Prince seeks truth. Crimson Rain Saltflower, Xie Lian asked. Your Royal Highness, the Crown Prince, Sanlang replied. Xie Lian finally turned around with a grin. That's the first time I've heard you address me like that. The red-clad youth sat on the mat and propped up a leg, also grinning. How does it feel? Xie Lian gave it a thought and replied truthfully. It feels a little different when others call me by that title. How so? Hua Chen asked. Xie Lian tilted his head, his eyes squinting a little. It's hard to say. It's just when others called him Your Highness, some were emotionless and all business, like, Ling Wen. But most of the time when people called him Your Highness, it was laced with a sense of disdain. Like how you would intentionally address an ugly woman as beautiful. Somewhat sarcastic. Like when somebody says, no, he's not ugly. He has a pretty teeth. A tooth that's really pretty. That type of shenanigans. When somebody says, oh my god, you're so brave for wearing that. That type of energy. Basically. Yet, when Hua Chen called him Your Highness, the two words were uttered with grave sincerity. So while it was hard to describe, Xie Lian felt that when Hua Chen called him Your Highness, it was different from when others used the title. He continued, That night at Mount Yujun, the groom who whisked me away, was it you, right? Hua Chen smiled deepened. His smile deepened meaningfully, and that made Xie Lian realize his words may have been too ambiguous. He quickly corrected himself. I meant the groom in disguise who held me, who led me away was you, right? I wasn't disguising myself as a groom, Hua Cheng replied. Technically speaking, Hua Cheng wasn't wrong. The young man at the at the time never said he was the groom or anything. In fact, he didn't say anything at all. He only stopped in front of the marriage sedan and extended his hand. It was Xie Lian who went, with him willingly. Fine, then why did you appear like that? Xie Lian asked. This question only has two possible answers, Hua Qing said. First, that I came specifically for you, Your Royal Highness. Second, that I was passing by and was free. Which do you think is more believable? Xie Lian counted the number of days Hua Qing had spent with him and replied earnestly, Which is more believable? I can't say, but you do seem to have a lot of free time. His entire person and his gaze both circled around Hua Qing, going back and forth, and after a long while he said, You're quite different from what the rumors say. Hua Qing changed his sitting position, but with a hand still propping up his cheek, he watched Xie Lian and asked, Oh? And how did your Royal Highness figure out that I am the Crimson Rain Flower? The image of that umbrella dripping with blood, that gently clicking silver chain, and those cold silver thumb braces filled Xie Lian's mind. He thought, It's not like you were trying very hard to hide yourself, to be fair. Even after all the prompting you gave nothing away. So you must be a supreme. You're dressed all in red, like the maples, like blood, and seem to know everything, seem to be capable of everything, and no fear. And such magnanimity that, other than Crimson Rain Softflower, who all the heaven officials fear, there didn't seem to be anyone else you could be. Hua Chen laughed. Maybe I take those words as a compliment. May I take those words as a compliment? Can't you tell they're compliments? Xie Lian thought, sparing so many words. How come your Royal Highness doesn't question my motives in coming close to you? Hua Chen asked, his mouth curved somewhat. If you didn't want to say anything and I asked, would you tell? Or you might not tell me the truth, Xie Lian said. That's not necessarily true, Hua Chen said. Besides, you could always kick me out. Xie Lian replied, You're so powerful. Even if I kicked you out now, if you really wanted to do something bad, wouldn't you just change your skin and come back? The two met eyes and grinned. Suddenly, a small knocking noise broke the temporary silence in the shrine. They looked to where the sound came from, and there wasn't anyone. Only a small black clay pot, the small clay pot, rolling on the ground. It was the same pot Banyue was tucked in. Xie Lian had casually placed it next to the mat, but somehow it had tipped itself over and rolled to the door. I lost my place. Oh, yeah. Blocked by the wooden door built by Hua Cheng, it started hitting the door by rolling into it repeatedly. Xie Lian was worried it might break itself, so he opened the door and let the little clay pot roll into the grass field outside. Xie Lian followed behind it and saw that once the little clay pot made it to the grass field, it stood itself up. Even if it was only a pot, it gave the impression of that it was gazing at the night sky. Hua Cheng also emerged from the shrine, and Xie Lian called out to the pot, Banyue, are you awake? Thankfully, when they returned from the gobi, it was already deep into the night. Otherwise, if anyone had seen Xie Lian ask a pot, of all things, how it was doing, they probably would have made a huge fuss again. Made me think he's a little bit whoop. A moment later, the sulky voice of a girl came from the pot. General Hua? Xie Lian sat down next to him. Banyue, have you rolled out here to stargaze? Why don't you come out? Hua Cheng was leaning against a tree next to them and said, "She only just left the Banyu ruins. Probably best if she stays in there for a while longer." After all, Banyu had stayed in Banyu for 200 years, give or take, and the sudden change in environment might be hard to adjust to. Xie Lian said, "Then you'd best stay in there for a while longer and heal. This is where the train this is where I train, so you don't have to worry about anything else." The pot shook twice, as if trying to say something. After chewing on his words, Xie Lian said, "Banhui, the incident this time actually didn't concern you. Your scorpion snakes were General Hua. I couldn't move at the time, but I heard everything," Banhui said. Xie Lian was taken aback. Only then did he learn that Pei Shu only sealed Banhui's movement, not her senses. Just as well. If she heard everything, it was just as well. The clay pot asked General Hua, "What will happen to General Pei Jr.?" Xie Lian crossed his arms in his sleeves. "I don't know, but wrongdoings will always be punished." Another moment of silence. The pot shook twice, and Xie Lian finally understood that the shaking was a nod in agreement. General Pei Jr. is actually not a bad person," Banhui said. "Is that right?" Banhui replied. He's helped me before." Somehow, many more memories suddenly came back to Xie Lian. Banhui often received beatings, and in the words of the others, the other Yong'an children, she bore a face that asked that, according to them, asked for it. Yeah, you always say the woman asked for it, fucks. It took a long time after Xie Lian met her before he learned of this silence. No matter how many beatings Banhui received, she wouldn't tell anyone. It wasn't until one day, when Xie Lian saw a group of children pressing her face into the mud, that he learned where all those bruises on her face came from. But when he asked her about it some time afterwards, she only remembered that she had to wash the handkerchief from the boy who pulled her out of the mud pit before she returned it, and nothing else. She remembered none of those none of the ones who beat her. They were just gone in her memory. But the one who saved her, well, she remembered for a lifetime. Banyu continued, "Although Kimmel always said scornfully that I had my mind possessed, that I had been completely used, whether General Pei Jr. used me or not, I know it was my own will to open the city gates." Xie Lian didn't know what to say anymore, but he could feel some sort of part of his heart soften. A moment later, he patted the clay pots. All right, it's all right. It's in the past. Oh, by the way, Banyu, the name is Hua Xie. Oh wait. Oh, by the way, Banyu, the name Hua Xie, yeah, it's fake. And I haven't been a general for a long time. You don't really have to keep calling me General Hua. Then how should I address you? Banyu asked. That was actually a good question. If Banyu called him Your Highness, seriously, it felt weird. Xie Lian didn't really care about his address, how they addressed him either. He just wanted to change the subject. That's up to you, I suppose. It's okay if you keep calling me General Hua, I guess. Only there was another here with the surname. Only there was another here with the surname Hua, so that might cause some confusion. But then he thought Hua Xie was a fake name, so took from the first word of the title Flower Crowned Martial God. So Hua Cheng must very well be a fake name too. That they both coincidentally picked the same word flower for a surname was rather interesting. You know, it's a common belief amongst Heaven Official Blessing fans that Hua Cheng is a fake name. And I'm pretty sure MXDX has said it's a fake name. Don't take my word for it. I read that somewhere on the internet that the Hua Cheng was actually a fake name and that wasn't his real name. Pero imagine Hua actually just being part, because I know Sonlang, like Sanlang, sorry, not Sonlang. Sanlang means like third son or something. So what if Hua Cheng is his actual name? What if we're just under the belief that it's a fake name because, well, it sounds so beautiful and so out of there that no one would actually name their child something like that amazing? Like, what if that's actually his name? Like, we don't know anything about his backstory, by the way, spoilers. But again, we are in volume 1, so maybe we do learn later on more about him. No, we don't. But yeah, like, what if that's actually his name? What if, maybe MX6 is lying to us, or maybe that information I read somewhere was lying to me. Possibilities are endless. But what if it actually is his name, and it's just a coincidence that he has the word flower in his name. And maybe he's just mad and embarrassed about it, because, I know a little bit about his backstory. But yeah, back to me reading. Did I lose my place? Blah 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 blah. Where was I? Okay, blah blah flower, blah blah. Okay, yeah. But yeah, think about that. Okay. I'm sorry, General Hua, Banwei said. Xie Lian turned back to look at her and said woefully, Banwei, why are you always apologizing to me? Did he really look that sorry to people? Kinda, babe. You kinda do. From within the pot, Banwei declared, I want to save the common people. ... Xie Lian was speechless. General Hua, you said that once, Banwei said. Question mark, and I emphasize on the question marks. Xie Lian was speechless and confused. He quickly pressed down on the clay pot. Hold on a goddamn second. Wait for what? Banwei asked. Xie Lian snuck a glimpse at Hua Qing, who was still leaning against that tree with his arms crossed, and said in a low voice, Did I really say that? That was his favorite saying when he was like, what, only 10 something years old? But like, in the many centuries thereafter, he shouldn't have uttered those words at all, so hearing them so suddenly made it difficult to accept. Next page. However, Banwei was firm. General, those were your words. Xie Lian still wanted to argue. I don't think so. Sounds cringe. The fuck? Banwei told him sternly and coldly, Oh, no. You did say them. There was a time when you asked us all what we wanted to do when we were older. Everyone answered, and afterwards you said, My dream since I was like, what, a child? My dream since I was little was to save the world, the common people. ... And ... So that was it. Damn it. Banwei, why would you remember something so clearly said completely randomly? Like, the fuck? Banwei was confused. Randomly? But General Hua, I thought those words they were said earnestly. Xie Lian gazed up at the night sky, feeling helpless. Huh, really? Maybe like I don't remember whatever else I made up. I say a lot of my love. Like, but anyway, I say so much in a day. I don't even know. Like, I kind of silence myself at some points in the day, so just forget about it. I'm begging you. You also said, what the fuck did I say? You also said, do you want? I mean, you also said, do what you think is right. Banwei told him, Nothing can block your way. Even if you fall in the mud 100 times, you must get up with determination. And a lot of more similar sayings. Damn, I was high. I was cringe as hell back then. Fuck. You didn't need to look back to know that it was definitely watching under the tree who laughed. Oh, it was watching laughing. Even smothering the pot now wouldn't help. I'm gonna break this piece of shit. Xie Lian thought, what nonsense. Why did I keep saying those kinds of things? What was wrong with me? I'm nothing like that. Am I? I don't know, King. How do I tell you this in the nicest way possible? Yes, you are. You're definitely cringe, my love, but we love you like that. So, it's good. You're cute. I wanted to do as General Hua said and save the people, Banwei continued. But in the end, I destroyed the kingdom of Banwei. Her voice was lost. And it seemed that no matter what I did, the results were all horrible. General Hua, I know I didn't do things right, but can you tell me, where did I go wrong? How can I do as you said and save the common people? ... and a dot, Xie Lian replied, meaning he said fuck all nothing. I'm sorry, Banwei. How to save the world, the common people? I didn't know the answer to that question back then, and even now I still don't. Banwei was silent for a moment, then said dejectedly, General Hua, to be honest, it feels like for the past 200 years I've had no idea what I'm doing. Such a failure. Hearing her, Xie Lian became more depressed, thinking, doesn't that make me even more of a failure? And I've lived for like, what, 800 years, give or take? Like, damn. Xie Lian left the little ghost Banwei in the pot to stargaze, alone. And calm down. Alone. Fuck off. He went back inside the Puchi shrine with watching. After closing the door, Xie Lian suddenly spoke up. Banyan remained that Banyan passed willingly. It wasn't because she became a wrath that she was trapped there. She already remembered that it was she who opened the city gates and had never given an excuse. Like saying, she could have just said like she was doing it for the people. It was to help the Banya soldiers vent their resentment so they could leave their world sooner. That she allowed Kemo to lead them to murder her over and over again. So she was like, I did wrong, please take it on me, your anger, and she allowed them multiple times. Yikes. Clones don't have the same amount of power, Watching said. You saw how Pei Shu's clone, Azao, was. He couldn't take care of so many Banjo soldiers, so feeding them the living was the fastest and easiest way to disperse their resentment. Why did it have to be so fast? Xie Lian wondered. Maybe it's so little Banjo wouldn't have to hang so painfully as many times, Watching replied. Xie Lian was silent for a moment. But what about the mortals? Watching replied quietly. They're heavenly officials. Mortals are nothing but ants in their eyes. Pei Shu is a classic, highly ranked god. As long as no one found out, killing a few hundred people is no different than stomping a few hundred insects to death. Xie Lian glanced at him and recalled that when Sunlan jumped into the sitter's pit, he wiped out all Banyu soldiers in a flash. He turned to him and said, Clones don't have the same amount of power. I see your clone is pretty powerful. Watching arched his brow. It would be. But, unfortunate for you, I'm the real thing. Cleon turned to look at him, somewhat surprised. Eh? Huh? This your true form? 100% authentic, Watching declared. You got the seal of approval and everything. Seal of freshness. If anything must be blamed, it would have to be the look on Watching's face. Like he was welcoming Xie Lian to test it out himself. Without thinking, Xie Lian raised his finger and poked Watching's face. Poke! After poking, Xie Lian snapped back into himself in shock, yelping, "Oh, no!" in his head. He was only curious to see what a Supreme Ghost King's fake skin would feel like, but apparently his body moves faster than his mind and, well, he poked him. How extremely outrageous of him. Oh my god, scandalous. To have someone suddenly poke him, Hua-Cheng looked somewhat shocked too. But he was always calm and collected, so his expression cleared instantly. He didn't say anything, but his arched brow raised even higher. How high? As if waiting for Xie Lian to explain. The laughter in his eyes was apparent. Of course, Xie Lian couldn't explain himself. He couldn't. He looked at his own finger, then he hid it away, betraying nothing of his thoughts. Not bad. Watching finally burst out laughing, and he crossed his arms with his head tilted. Where was I? Okay, what's not bad? Do you mean the skin? Yes, it's quite good, Xie Lian said sincerely. But what? Watching asked. Xie Lian stared at his face and studied it for a moment, then finally said, But can I see your real face? Since he said this skin, that meant that while this body was his true form, the skin wasn't his real one, and this appearance was not his true face. Got you, bitch. This time, Huacheng didn't respond immediately and dropped his arm. Maybe it was all in Xie Lian's head, but Huacheng's eyes dimmed a little bit, and Xie Lian's heart tightened despite himself. When the air froze, Xie Lian knew his questions may have crossed the line. Ooh. Although for the past few days, the two of them had gotten along quite well, that didn't mean they were so close he could just make this type of requests without waiting for his response. Xie Lian quickly smiled. I was just asking. Don't have to take it to heart. Huacheng closed his eyes. Oh yeah, plural. And a moment after, he smiled softly. I'll let you see it someday, if there's a chance. If anyone else said that, it'll naturally be, perfunctory. Something usually means, please fucking forget it, I'm begging you. Or hashtag never. But it was Huacheng who said it. So Xie Lian felt that someday actually meant someday, and it would surely happen. That made him even more curious, and he grinned. Hee hee hee. What does this handsome devil look like? Exactly that, handsome devil. Then I'll wait till the day you feel it's okay to show me. Let's rest for now. After bustling about for half the night, Xie Lian had long since tossed the idea of cooking to the back of his mind and returned to lying on the straw mat. Hua Cheng also laid down next to him. No one bothered questioning why, after coming clean about their identities, a god and a ghost could still lie together on a crappy mat, laughing and chatting. The straw mat didn't have pillows, so Hua Chen used his arm, and Xie Lian imitated him in the pillowing his hands on his arm. So he's laying on his arms, basically, kind of. He mentioned casually, "The ghost realm seems so idle. Did you guys ever need to report back to anyone?" Wajai not only used his arm as a pillow, but he proposed his legs up too. He propped his legs up. He proposed to maybe open some legs, if you catch my drift. um, he replied, "Report to whom? I'm the biggest one there. Besides, we all mind our own business. Is not to, let's not bother anyone. There's no need." So the ghost realm was made up of many disorganized bands, a lot of souls and feral ghosts. Sibling replied, "Is that so? I thought it'd be like, I don't know, the upper court with the central government. If it's like that, have you ever met the other ghost kings before?" "I have," Hua Cheng said. "Even Green Ghost Chiro?" "You mean that lowly, vulgar piece of fucking trash?" Well, what do I say to that? Should I say yes? No? The fuck? Julian thought. Thankfully, he didn't need to say anything, as Hua Chen continued. "I greeted him, and he ran away, like a game pussy." Julian had a hunch that this greeting, we can call it a greeting, couldn't have been your regular sort of greeting. "Sure enough," Hua Chen said casually, "and then I received a moniker. Crimson Race Farm. Dot, dot, and a dot." So before, when he mentioned wiping out the lair of another ghost, he was talking about the green ghost Shirong. We caught it. And this, and I quote, and I'm saying rating, end quote, was carnage. What an extraordinary greeting, Cillian thought, rubbing his chin. "Do you have something against the green ghost, Shirong?" "Yes, actually," Watching replied. "What's that?" "I can't stand his face." Cillian didn't know whether to laugh or cry, thinking, "Did you challenge those 33 heavenly ghosts because heavenly ghosts, goddammit, can I read? Did you challenge those 33 heavenly officials because you also didn't like their face?" "Don't ask that, please." "The officials of the upper court all call him vulgar, and even the ghost realm scorns him." Oh wait, that was supposed to be sad, damn it. "The officials of the upper court all call him vulgar, and even the ghost realm scorns him. Is that true?" "It's true. Even Blackwater is disgusted by him." Watcher replied. Who's Blackwater?" Shellyan asked, then recalled, "Oh yeah, it's that one with the simping. He's a simp, but the ship sinking Blackwater. Yeah, I think I've heard of him before." "That's right. He's also known as the Blackwater Demon Xuan." Shellyan remembered that this Blackwater demon Xuan was also a supreme, but Green Ghost Shirong was the only almost a supreme, and just there for the head count. So the Green Ghost is you're just here for the head count. He wasn't interested. "Are you close with the demon Xuan?" "No," Huachi replied lazily. "There aren't many in the ghost realm I'm very close with." No, Julian was amazed. "Is that so? I thought you have many subordinates. Maybe our definition of close is different." Russian quirked his brow. "Yeah, in the ghost realm, those lower than supreme have no right to speak to me. They could go fuck themselves if they like." It was an exceedingly arrogant statement, but Hua Chen made it sound so indisputable and self-evident. Julian smiled softly. "You have it pretty good in the ghost realm. It's only so big, not like the heavens. I can barely remember the heavenly officials in the upper court, and there are so many, many more waiting to ascend in the middle court. It's like an ocean of names. What good is it to remember them? Don't bother, it's a waste of your brain, Hodgins said. It's kind of offensive if you can't remember their names. The heavenly officials loved their reputation. Hodgins clicked his tongue. If they can be offended by such a small thing, then they're nothing but narrow-minded trash. After chatting that much, Xie Lian didn't want to dig too deeply into the subject lest they touch on something maybe sensitive, so he changed the topic away from the differences between the two realms. He glanced at the closet. There's no closet here. You guys are already out. He glanced at the closed wooden door and wondered, Banyue, that child. I wonder when she'll come back in. The bold words, I want to save the common people, returned and reverberated in his head. Yikes. Pouring out massive images in his mind, and Xie Lian had to forcefully push them down. Just then, Hua Chen spoke up. Those were good words. Which ones? Xie Lian asked. I want to save the world, the common people. Huh? I want to save the world, the common people. You know. You don't have to say it twice. Hua Chen replied, leisurely. Dot dot dot. Xie Lian was thunderstruck. He flipped over and curled into a shrimp, little baby, wishing up for another pair of arms so he could both cover his face and ears. He growled, San, please, I'm begging you, stop it. So being cringe, stop it. Oh God. Hua Cheng seemed to have nudged closer. Did I read that right? Hua Cheng seemed to have nudged closer and deadpanned right behind him. What's wrong with those words? Hua Chen wouldn't back down, and Xie Lian couldn't win against him, so he flipped back and over, flipped back over and said helplessly, "It's silly. Where is there to be afraid of? What's there to be afraid of?" Hua Chen said. To dare speak of the people of the world, whether to save or to destroy them, it's admirable. The former is harder than the latter, so it's even more respectable. Xie Lian shook his head, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. If you dare to speak, you have to be able to follow through and actually achieve it. He laid an arm over his eyes. Oh, all right. I suppose that's nothing. What Banyo said was already pretty good. I've said sillier things when I was even younger. I mean, Zach, I'm so cringe. Hushing laughed. Oh, like what? Let's hear it. Xie Lian was pensive for a moment, and he smiled softly as he chased his memories. Many, many, many years ago, there was someone who told me they couldn't live on anymore. They asked me for the reason they were alive and what was the meaning of their life. He glanced at Huache. Do you know? Do you know how I answered? It might have just been Xie Lian's imagination, but there seemed to be light in Huache's eyes. He asked softly, "How did you answer?" Xie Lian said, I told him, if you don't know how to live on anymore, then live for me. If you don't know the meaning of your life, then make me the meaning and use me as your reason to live. As Xie Lian spoke, he couldn't help but let out a small laugh and shook his head. Even now I don't understand what I was thinking back then. How did I ever have the courage to tell someone to make me, of all people, the meaning of their life? Hua Cheng was silent, and Xie Lian continued. It really was something that could only have been said back then. Long ago, I really thought I was invincible and fearless. If you asked me to say the same words now, well, there's no way they would ever leave my lips. Xie Lian continued slowly. I don't know what happened to that person afterwards, but to become someone's reason to live is already a heavy responsibility. How dare I speak of the world? The world of all things. Silence blanketed Pucci's shrine. After a while, Sandland said quietly, something like saving the common people. It really doesn't matter how you do it, but although braver, it's foolish. Although brave is kind of foolish, don't you think? Yeah, Xie Lian agreed. Hachi continued. Although foolish, I think it's pretty brave. Thoughts? Thoughts. Xie Lian grinned. Thanks. You're welcome. Watching said. The two stared at the holy ceiling of Puchi Shrine in amiable silence, and Hua Chen spoke up again for a while. You know, Your Highness, we've only known each other for a few days. It's all right for you to say so much to me. Would it be okay? Well, Xie Lian huffed. What's the problem? Whatever, those who have known each other for decades have become strangers in a day. We met for we met by chance, and we may part by chance. If we like each other, then we shall continue to meet. If we don't, then we shall part. At the end of the day, there's no banquet in the world that doesn't come to an end. So let's let's take it easy, and I'll say what I want to say. Pachen seemed to have chuckled, and suddenly he said, "If." Julian turned his head to face him. "If?" Pachen didn't turn around, but continued to stare at the dilapidated ceiling of the shrine, and Julian could only see this handsome young man's left profile. Pachen said softly, "If I was ugly?" Huh? Hutchin finally turned his head slightly. "If my true appearance is ugly, would you still want to see it? Like if I was a massive fucking uggo, would you still like me? Chilean, if I was a worm, would you still love me?" Chilean was taken aback. "Is it? Although, there's no real reason. I really thought your true appearance would be too horrible looking." "Who knows?" Hutchin said, half jokingly. "What if I'm discolored, disfigured, ugly, monstrous, and horrible? What would you do?" At first, Chilean thought this line of inquiry was rather fascinating. So, the overlord of the ghost realm, the one called the devil, incarnated and feared by all the heavens, would care about his looks? But when he thought about it deeply, he didn't think it was very funny anymore. Damn, maybe he isn't uggo. Gotta rethink this. Just kidding. He vaguely recalled in the many rumored backstories of Hua Cheng once the many rumors of Hua Cheng once said that he was disfigured as a child from birth or something along those lines. He really couldn't remember. If that was true, then he must have grown up discriminated against by others. Maybe that was why he was he was particularly sensitive about his appearance. Thus, Shilian chewed on his words. "Well," he used his warmest, most sincere voice. "To be honest, the reason I want to see your true appearance is only because, you see, we're already like this." "Hmm?" Hua Cheng piped up. "Like what?" "Well, we're sort of friends now, right? So, like, if we're friends, then we should be able to be honest with each other. My wanting to see your true appearance has nothing to do with how you look. You asked what I would do, but of course I won't do anything. Don't worry, your real face as long as it's your real face, to be exact, I'm sure I'll." "Why are you laughing? I'm being serious." When Shelian reached the last part, he could feel the youth next to him shaking. He froze for a moment at first and thought, "Are my words so moving that he's touched like this?" And was too embarrassed to turn around to see, but after a while the soft laughter from next to him were very obviously they obviously leaked out. Chilean felt Jesus. Chilean felt rather deflated and placed a hand on his shoulder to give a little push. "Sanlang, why are you laughing so much? Did I say something wrong?" Huang immediately stopped shaking and turned around. "No, you're very right." Chilean felt even more deflated at those words. "You're so insincere. I promise you. I promise you won't find another person more sincere than me in this world," Huachen replied. Zhelian didn't want to talk anymore and flipped over, his back facing Huachen. "Forget it! Time to sleep. You don't talk to me. No, I'm not complimenting you anymore. Screw you." Huachen chuckled again, then said, "Next time." Even though he was determined to sleep, hearing Huachen speak, Zhelian couldn't resist replying. "What's next time?" Hua Chen whispered. "The next time we meet, I will use my true appearance to greet you." There was much to ponder about those words, and Shilian should have kept questioning him, but after a long night an unstoppable drowsiness overtook him, and he couldn't hang on. falling into a deep slumber. The next morning, when Xie Lian woke up, the spot next to him was already empty. Oh my god. I've been so focused reading, I didn't see the image. Okay, wait, let me take a photo. Let me take a photo. Let me just save the image. Perfect. Perfecto. Okay, continue. Where was I? Blah 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 blah. The next morning, the next morning Xie Lian woke up. He scrambled to get up and walk around the shrine in a daze. When he opened the door, there was no figures to be seen outside. It seemed like it was true. The youth had indeed left. However, the fallen leaves had been swept into a pile, and next to that pile stood a small clay pot. Xie Lian took the pot inside and placed it on the altar. Right then, he suddenly noticed that there seemed to be something extra on his usually bare chest. He raised his hand to touch it, and found just below the cursed collar there was an exceedingly thin chain, hanging loose and light. Xie Lian immediately removed it from his neck. Turned out it was a silver chain so thin and light that he hadn't felt anything on him before. And dangling from the chain there was a crystal clear ring. He looks so fucking beautiful. Holy fuck. He's so beautiful. I'm putting the image. Protocol. Protocol. I have to put the image. I gotta put the image. Oh my god, he's so beautiful. Ah. Oh, that's the end? No, I thought there was more. No. Maybe I should just attach volume 2 with this. Well, that's the end. Oh god, it's over. We're over volume 1. We finished volume 1. I started, last year? When did I start reading? I have to check. I don't remember when I started reading. What matters right now is 2026, baby. The year, well, still not. We're still in January, but close to the year of the horse. Well, we're done. We finished volume 1. I kind of want to cry a little bit. Thank you guys for joining volume 1. And yes, I will be reading the rest of the volumes. Like I said earlier, I have volume 2 already up and loaded. I have it right here physically in my hand. I already have it available, so you can, I know with school and all, I'm not going to upload as much as I would love to, but then again, this is probably the most consistent schedule I've had ever. So, wow, this year, 2025 passed, and has been the most consistent I've uploaded. I've uploaded like maybe once a month. I want to upload more this year, and I do want to do that. So, yeah. I don't know, I'm emotional now because I finished volume 1. I don't know. If you guys have been liking my reading, please like, comment, and subscribe. And I do have a playlist so you guys can hear the entirety from start to finish of volume 1 of Heaven of Vegetables Blessing. I'm also reading the Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation. Those chapters are long as hell, just so you know. But yes. I have Heaven of Vegetables Blessing, Kim Force. I have, what else? Iron Widow. I started reading Iron Widow. So if you guys want to hear me read any of those, if you want to read them with me, you can follow. They have their own respective, individual playlists, so you can follow along. Yay! But other than that, hope you have a good day, night. Good day, night, wherever you are, however you are. And well, bye 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 bye. Bye.